They call you brilliant, insightful, and unique, but the praise leaves you feeling inexplicably vulnerable. Why is overwhelming flattery often the first move of a manipulator? This is the dark psychological paradox of dark compliments, praise used as a strategic weapon. So let's really dig into this. You know that feeling, right? That weird sensation when someone lays the praise on so thick that it feels, well, just a little off. You feel good, but also kind of exposed. That's not you being paranoid. That's a signal. That's your intuition picking up on a very subtle but very real psychological game. And that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna pull this whole thing apart to see exactly how it works, why it's so powerful, and most importantly, what you can do about it. And this really is the core question, isn't it? I mean, a compliment is supposed to be a gift. But when that gift feels way too big, way too soon, it doesn't feel like a gift anymore. It feels like a debt. It creates this sense of obligation, like you suddenly owe them something in return, and you have no idea what the price is. We're gonna unpack exactly why your brain is smart enough to flag this generosity, not as kindness, but as the opening move in a strategic game. So here's our game plan. First, we're gonna really define this tactic. Then we'll break down the three-part attack pattern they use. From there, we'll dive deep into the psychology of the trap itself. And then we pivot to building up your defenses. We'll wrap it all up with the key takeaway, making sure praise is just information, not a control switch. All right, first things first, let's get a really clear profile of this weapon. What exactly separates a genuine, from-the-heart compliment from a dark, manipulative one? Well, it all boils down to one thing: intent. So here it is, the official definition. A dark compliment is not some spontaneous moment of admiration. No, it's a cold, calculated transaction. The key words to focus on here are intentional and emotional currency. The manipulator is literally spending praise like money to buy something from you, usually your trust, your compliance, or your vulnerability. This is a classic move for people with, high narcissistic or Machiavellian traits. For them, a conversation isn't about connecting, it's about winning. And this is a shortcut. And this chart, wow, it just lays out the difference so clearly with real praise. The intent is just to acknowledge something you did. It's earned, it's specific. Hey, that report was amazing because of how you broke down the data. The result? A real connection. But a dark compliment, the intent is always to manipulate. And the biggest red flag is the timing. It comes way too early, before any real bond exists. And it's just excessive. It feels way out of proportion. And that's because the goal isn't connection, it's creating that feeling of indebtedness, making you feel like you owe them. So what does this actually sound like in the wild? Well, it tends to show up in a few classic forms. First, you've got over-idealization. You hear things like, "You're the only person who ever really gets me." They're putting you on this impossible pedestal to make you feel special, and frankly, to isolate you. Then there's conditional praise, which is way more obvious. It's the whole, "You're so amazing with spreadsheets. Hey, could you just take a quick look at this one for me?" The praise is just a doorway to a request. And of course, the big one, love bombing. This is the nuclear option, just overwhelming you with affection and compliments right at the start to forge this intense but totally fake connection. Okay, so we know what it is. Now let's get into the how. How does a simple string of words become such an effective psychological tool? Well, it unfolds in a pretty predictable three-step attack pattern. The sequence is always rapport, seizure, defense bypass, and then emotional indebtedness. Each step is designed to build on the last one, to just systematically take apart your natural emotional and logical defenses. Let's break down each stage of this little invasion. It all kicks off with rapport seizure. The manipulator hits you with that intense, over-the-top praise. This immediately triggers a really powerful mental shortcut we all have, something the psychologist Robert Cialdini calls the liking principle. It's super simple. We are just way more likely to agree to requests from people we like. By flooding you with praise, the manipulator is hijacking this principle. They are manufacturing an instant, unearned feeling of friendship to make you more agreeable for whatever's coming next. And this right here, this is the most critical phase. Defense bypass. The second you hear that amazing compliment, your brain's reward system lights up. You get a little hit of dopamine. It's that feel-good chemical. But here's the crucial part. In that moment of pleasure, the logical part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, your brain's CEO, is temporarily put on mute. The pleasure center takes over. You're feeling, not thinking. Your critical judgment just goes offline for a second. And that brief window is exactly what the manipulator is waiting for. And finally, the trap snaps shut with emotional indebtedness. This uses another one of Cialdini's big principles, reciprocity. As humans, we are just hardwired to repay gifts and favors. It's deep in our social DNA. So when someone gives you this massive gift of a compliment, your subconscious logs it. Now you feel this unconscious pull to give something back. It's not a logical choice, it's a gut-level instinct to return the favor, usually by being more agreeable, more open, and more compliant. And just like that, the trap is sprung. Okay, so the how is clear, but why? Why is this so incredibly effective? To really get that, we need to look at what's driving both the person using the weapon and the person on the receiving end. This slide really gets to the core of the whole dynamic. For the manipulator, it's all about efficiency. I mean, why spend weeks or months building real trust when you can just hijack someone's brain chemistry and get it in 2 minutes? Their goal is to get what's called narcissistic supply. Your admiration, your agreement, your positive attention, it all feeds their ego. Now, let's look at the other side. The target's key vulnerability is often a very deep, very human need for validation. For anyone who's a bit insecure, intense praise feels like a powerful drug. It feels like proof of your worth. And that vulnerability, combined with our built-in bias to like people who like us, leads straight to that suspension of logic. We just want to believe them. Okay, we have spent a lot of time analyzing the attack. Now let's flip the switch. We're moving from analysis to empowerment. How do you actually defend yourself? How do you build up an emotional immune system that can spot and neutralize this kind of manipulation? This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because the solution isn't to just wall yourself off and reject all compliments. Genuine praise is a beautiful, necessary part of life. The secret is learning how to graciously accept the words without unconsciously accepting the emotional bill the manipulator is trying to attach to them. It's about separating the compliment from the contract. So here it is, your 3-step defense protocol. Step 1, audit the feeling. The second you get that rush from an intense compliment, just pause. Ask yourself, wait a minute, is this praise actually earned? Is it proportionate to the relationship we actually have? If it feels too good to be true, listen to that feeling. It's data. Step 2 is neutral acceptance, your most powerful tool, which we'll get to in a sec. And step 3, pace your vulnerability. A dark compliment is a request to speed things up, to open up fast. Your job is to politely hit the brakes. You don't owe them your life story just because they said something nice. Hold your boundaries. And that brings us to neutral acceptance. The most powerful way to break that chain of reciprocity is with these 2 little words. Thank you. That's it. You don't have to return the compliment with one that's even bigger. You don't have to gush about how amazing they are. A simple, calm thank you accepts the words without accepting the hidden invoice. It's polite, but it short-circuits their entire plan. It's a quiet little declaration of your emotional freedom. So as we bring all this together, we land on our final verdict. And it's a critical mindset shift. It's this. Praise should be information, not a remote control. It can inform you, but it should never, ever control you. And this right here, this is the one idea I want you to really internalize. Think of manipulative praise not as a gift, but as a lure. You know, like a fisherman uses a shiny lure to catch a fish, a manipulator uses a shiny compliment to catch your trust and lower your defenses. When you see it that way, everything changes. It's no longer a gift you feel obligated to repay, it's just a tactic. A tactic you can now recognize and simply choose not to bite. So in the end, awareness is what breaks the spell. Dark compliments are nothing more than a manipulative lure, and their whole purpose is to get that defense bypass. The pattern is always the same. The praise triggers the liking principle, which creates a feeling of emotional indebtedness, all designed to force you to comply. But knowing this, that awareness shatters the illusion. By taking a second to audit the feeling and making a conscious choice to pace your vulnerability, you take the power back. You ensure that praise can inform you, but it can never, ever control your sense of worth. And that leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. If we truly accept that our worth is internal, that it's inherent and doesn't depend on what other people think, then what's the real purpose of external validation? Is it a useful mirror, a dangerous drug, or something else entirely? That's a question worth sitting with.